Somebody's vacuuming in the hallway. Okay. I think they might be done. Hi guys, welcome back to my Girl Talk series. So excited to be doing another installation of this. The last episode did really freaking well, which I was not expecting at all, so thank you guys. And if you are new here, hi, my name is Brielle. I live in Los Angeles, California. I'm 23 years old, and in this series, we sit down, sleep over energy, and just have like a little heart-to-heart, a little chat. We talk about kind of whatever topic is on my mind. I love filming these. They're so chill. They're so fun to film. And I hope that you guys are enjoying watching them. So today's episode is all about boundaries. Boundaries, and it is a subtweet to myself because I suck at this, and I think we all just sometimes need the reminder, especially those of us that are people pleasers, overachievers. If you're one of those, I feel you. I'm the same way. I think we need a reminder sometimes. So we're gonna be talking about boundaries in like all the aspects of life that they apply to, because they really are something that need to exist in so many different aspects of our life, from our personal life to our work life. Like, how do we set boundaries from productivity? We're gonna be kind of talking about all that shit. This is something that I have really started to think about more as I enter into my 20s, and something that I think I really need to work on, because quite frankly, I sucked at it in the past. If you guys like the video, make sure you thumbs the video up, subscribe if you haven't already, because all of that really helps me out and supports my channel. Have a little pumpkin spice latte today. Obviously, a drink is a must-have for these videos. This is actually the last morsel of caffeine that I'm gonna be having for the next week, because I'm filming a giving up caffeine for a week / quitting caffeine for a week video right after this. So I'm savoring this. Also, how do you guys like the little sunset lamp in the back? Isn't that so freaking cute? Okay. So I want to talk about boundaries first in terms of productivity, because goddamn, is this tough for me. I know that there are others who fall prey to this, and I certainly do, where I tend to just fill up all of my spare time with productivity. If I have extra days, extra hours where I don't have like a video to edit or work to do, I spin my brain trying to fill it with some other task. And I think there's value in that to an extent. Like, I pride myself on my drive and my generally productive lifestyle, and I don't want to go too far the other way, because that does not make me feel good. But I think that what I need to learn to do is set strict boundaries, in the sense of like, okay, before this time is for me, after this time is for me, like setting a little buffer around my sleep schedule, not doing work like at 2 in the morning, not doing work at 6 o'clock a.m., which I don't think I do often. I'm more likely to stay up late working than I am to work first thing in the morning. I definitely think that my morning workouts is the biggest form of boundaries that I've set for myself, because it's a time that I don't allow to be consumed with rushing to get to work, and it's really like a me time, especially because it's the time when I watch YouTube videos, so it really feels like indulgent in a way, and it feels like a luxury that I used to not kind of allow myself. So the way that me learning how to set boundaries has kind of shown up in my life is carving out time for the activities that I normally wouldn't allow myself to do, because I don't think they're productive enough, especially on the weekends, when I can kind of have a tendency to be like, okay, it's the weekend, like I need to cram in every single little thing possible into these next 2 days, because then for the rest of the week, I'm not gonna be able to do this shit. Like, yes, there's some validity to that, and I do wanna like work on YouTube and stuff like that on the weekends and get some shit done, but it is a huge way that I can show up for myself to like carve out some time and be like, okay, it's Saturday, like let me fucking sit on the couch and read my book for an hour. And then the one that I think I'm the worst at and that I need to work on a little bit more is like having a strict cutoff time at night, where I'm like, okay, I'm not gonna do work past 11 p.m. or 10 p.m. And those might seem kind of late, but it just kind of is the reality of trying to do stuff like YouTube while having a job. Like, you have to work in the evenings. It's kind of the time that you do have to get that shit done, right? So, and I also feel like I can get a lot done in the evenings, and it's a really productive time for me, but I think that there still needs to be some boundary. I don't want to immediately go to bed right after editing, you know? Like, I need to save some time to like do my dishes and maybe like relax a little. Kind of a concept, but I very rarely like actually unwind before bed. It's usually like, okay, I edited as late as I possibly could, now I have to get ready for bed and go to sleep. And I want to work on creating a boundary there, actually kind of having the feeling of an evening, even if it's only an hour hour before I go to bed where I do genuinely unwind and like let myself relax from the day. So another kind of like productivity / work related way that I think boundaries are important and that I'm trying to work on setting more boundaries, and you might need to work on this too, is having the self-respect to be honest with both the people around you and yourself about how much you can handle and how much you can take on and how much you can realistically get done. And being generous with how long things will take you, as opposed to like overcrowding your to-do list, putting way too much on your plate. This is something that I'm still actively learning how to do, but I've been hearing more and more about like how people say the 3 to-do list items method is so helpful. So like only writing 3 things on their to-do list versus like an entire overwhelming list of stuff they think they could get done. I think that that's really useful because it's really paring down your to-do list to the most essential things and keeping you from feeling like disappointed in yourself and upset with yourself at the end of the day, which I think is important because there's no easier way to get disappointed in yourself or to make other people disappointed in you than by way overestimating what you can get done and how much you can get done in a certain amount of time. And things always take longer than you think they are. Like you need to start allowing yourself a buffer. It's a real sign of self-respect and caring for yourself to actually ask for and allot the amount of time that you need to do something, and carving out time from your day, clearing out distractions and other miscellaneous tasks to actually commit the amount of time that a task really needs to be done well. I struggle the most with this in terms of me to me. Like I don't struggle a lot with committing to things for other people that I then can't get done, but I struggle a lot with overcommitting myself and overestimating myself, and also just not allowing myself big enough chunks of time for the things that I want to do and then feeling disappointed or self-sabotaging or feeling overwhelmed. So like even when it comes to something like editing a YouTube video, I think in my brain I'm like, oh, YouTube video I could have done in a couple hours, like no big deal, I'm used to it by now. And then I like actually go to edit a video and I always vastly underestimate the amount of time that it's gonna take. I could be working on a video for days, I could be working on a video for hours and hours, and instead of, estimating maybe 3 hours, leaving myself one night to edit a video and then having to stay up super late because it does take longer than I anticipate, I think it would be so much healthier to like carve out an actual feasible amount of time, whether that's I have to work on the video for 3 days and maybe I have to upload it a day late or 2 days late. Protecting my peace in the sense of not letting myself stay up late or rush or whatever, and instead trying to allow like a reasonable amount of time that's not gonna stress me out to edit. Like that I feel like would be a huge way for me to show up for myself. And I also just think it's important to not try to do everything. Like, that famous saying, I always say this, but you can do anything but not everything. That is still something that I'm trying to solidify in my mind, because so often I feel like I do have to do everything and I feel like there's just never enough time, there's too much to do. I know we can all relate to that feeling of overwhelm and biting off more than we can chew and feeling like we need to balance 20 different aspects of our life. But something I'm really trying to accept and be okay with is the fact that I am going to have to push certain things off and I am going to have to say no to doing certain things. That drawer underneath my kitchen cabinet, like it might need to be reorganized, but maybe I have other priorities. I could infinitely fill my to-do list a million times over with various self-assigned tasks that mostly don't matter that much. But it is a really healthy boundary to limit that to-do list and to decide not to do certain things today and really pare down what you're working on to the most essential, most value-filled things, and being okay with the fact that other things are going to fall away because you feel solid enough in yourself and you respect yourself enough to set the boundaries of like, I can't fit that in. I can't stretch myself that thin. I deserve to comfortably give my all to what I am working on and not constantly live in a state of overwhelm and being stretched too thin. Now let's talk about boundaries in a little bit more of a personal, social sense. I feel like in college and in high school, I was so bad at setting boundaries in terms of socializing. I feel like I was not even an active participant in my own social life. I was just letting other people come in and out of my life, and I'm not thinking consciously either when, a social event or something came up, do I really want to go to this or do I not? Now what I've learned is that one of the most important elements of how I'm doing mentally, of how Brielle is doing, is the amount of social interaction that I'm getting and having it at like the perfect balance. For me, a big part of setting social boundaries boundaries is asking myself, how many times can I socialize per week without burning out? And then honoring that. Being okay with saying no when somebody asks me to do something, not having a ton of guilt around it or feeling like I need to make a million excuses, not letting myself get pressured into social interactions or doing something socially that I don't feel like doing, like allowing myself to say no. It's not selfish to want alone time or to just not feel like going out one day. And especially in college, I feel like there were so many times where I knew in my gut and in my heart, like, I don't want to go out tonight, and I would just go along with whoever I was hanging out with. If they wanted to go out, I would let myself get dragged out. And looking back on that now, I'm like, no wonder so many of my friendships kind of fell apart, because I was socializing when my battery was low, when I did not have the energy to show up as my best self. And so I wasn't showing up as my best self, and I was socializing way beyond my capacity, and it hurt all of my relationships and my mental health to be doing that. I'm so glad that I'm not in that headspace anymore, and that I'm more comfortable setting boundaries, knowing that it's okay to say no to things, knowing that it's okay to want my alone introverted time, and also knowing when I'm overcommitted, knowing when I am burnt out socially. I've only really had 1 or 2 times since moving to LA where I really reached the point of being socially burnt out. Probably the most extreme I've ever experienced it. I had been hanging out with people several days in a row, and it was just a lot of hours with very outgoing friends, and I love these friends, but I saw myself being in a shitty mood, treating the people around me like shit, just being rude and not showing up in the way that I wanted to, not representing myself in the way I wanted to. And I even apologized to my friend, being like, I'm so sorry, I know I'm like not being the nicest person right now, I'm just so out of social battery, like I'm so drained, and it has nothing to do with you, and I'm sorry that I'm snapping at you. Luckily, she said that she hadn't even noticed anything, but she thanked me for bringing it up, and that was really like a further affirmation for me that like it does not benefit me and it does not benefit anyone else to be showing up to things and to be pushing myself past the point of where I am no longer the best version of me, into the zone where I'm not even showing up as my authentic self because I don't have the freaking energy to show up the way that I want to. And having, again, the boundaries and the self-respect to be like, okay, I'm not my best self right now, like I need to go recharge, or even just communicating to the people around me like, hey, I'm not my best self right now, versus putting the pressure on myself to overexert, to push myself to be friendly, to be outgoing, to socialize, and kind of putting on the face of like everything being chill, because that's freaking exhausting, and it's way more respectful to myself, and it's way more honoring my boundaries and what's healthy for me to either leave the social situation if possible, or 2, if I really want to stay in the social situation, literally just communicating like, hey, I'm feeling really drained, so I'm gonna be like a little quieter than usual, because then, you know, the other person knows not to take it personally, knows that you're not angry with them, but it takes the pressure off of you to be faking it or to be pushing yourself harder than you need to, which ultimately is only gonna make you feel worse. Another area where I feel like boundaries is so freaking important, and that I think I've actually done a lot of growth in this area. Like I've gotten so much better at this over the past several years, but a lot of people are not good at this. Not to like call out collective humanity or anything, maybe it's an American thing. I feel like a lot of people freaking suck at this, so if you do too, you might want to hear this. Privacy. Freaking privacy, okay? I made a video kind of connected to this topic. It was called, if you want to change your life, you need to stop oversharing. It never ceases to amaze me the intimate personal knowledge and baggage that people air out as soon as you freaking meet them. And it's something that I've noticed. I feel like I was gonna say even more in LA, but in college too. It's just something that I've noticed a lot. And listen, I've been guilty of this in the past too. When I think back to some of the shit that I shared with just like untrustworthy people in like college, I'm like, oh my God. Obviously I didn't know at the time. I thought that they were nice. I thought they were genuine. They were my new friends. Maybe I had had something to drink. But like looking back on it now, I'm just like, why was I sharing such intimate personal information with literal acquaintances that I had not built up a deep trust with? It's insane. And even with closer friends, close people in my life, I'm selective and intentional about what I share with them, or at least I try to be. And I think we could all do that even more. I just don't think a lot of people quite realize that it's a choice. Like you can decide what you do and don't want to share. It is not like every person you meet immediately needs to know your life story. You don't need to be 100% open with everyone. And it's not even like a, oh, I'm guarded, I need to protect myself type of thing. It's not even that dramatic. It's just like there's a lot of peace and power in being intentional and deciding what you want to be public knowledge versus what you want to be personal. There's a freaking fly. Sorry. I'm sorry if you guys see it flying around. Okay. I feel like this is something that has become even more concrete since I've started my YouTube channel, because there's like physical evidence of what I'm sharing online, if that makes sense. And there have been a few times where I've overstepped my own boundaries and shared things that in retrospect I wasn't comfortable sharing. And it's not always 100% easy to know what will and won't be comfortable for you to share. I feel like it's a trial and error sort of thing where you have to like kind of test boundaries, try sharing things with certain people, and notice your own emotional reaction. If you feel like overexposed or just uncomfortable after sharing something, that might be something you want to consider keeping more private or close to yourself in the future. And yeah, I've had to private a couple of videos where I just kind of talked about things that I've then realized I don't really want to be public topics on my channel, that I'm not really comfortable sharing. And I think it's also important to notice that there might be a difference between what you enjoy hearing from other people / what you value when other people share versus what you want to share. Something I've noticed is I might be entertained and enjoy content talking about more taboo topics, more risque topics, like, you know what I mean. I might enjoy that type of content. Like, I love creators that talk about that stuff, and I find their videos so freeing and fun to watch. But when it comes to myself, every time I've kind of tiptoed that line and potentially talked about those things, I've noticed immediate discomfort. And maybe that'll change in the future, but it was a huge like red flag / sign to me that like, hey, maybe this isn't something I want to be public information. Maybe this is something I want to keep to my extremely close circle. And that's okay. And it's okay to have and create those boundaries for yourself. And you don't need to feel guilty or bad or weird about maybe not sharing as much as someone you're in conversation with or some other creator that you're watching. Like, it's okay to have different boundaries than the people around you, and it's okay to be comfortable listening to certain things from others that you don't personally want to share. I feel like a lot of friends that I've made have used me as kind of like a personal sounding board, like feel very comfortable talking to me and telling me personal stories, which I'm incredibly grateful for. And I value that the people in my life find me as a comfortable person to talk to and are comfortable opening up to me. I think that's amazing, but that doesn't mean that I need to share intimate details of my life with those same people, or that I need to share, equally juicy stories with them if that's not something I'm comfortable with. And that might mean that the other person is talking a lot more than I am, and I'm listening a lot of the time because I'm not offering up that sort of information about myself. And that's something that I've like kind of learned to be okay with. As you get closer to people, as people enter your inner circle, like it is okay to open up to them more, obviously, and you should be doing that to an extent if you feel like they're a trustworthy person. But just know that it is perfectly valid for you to set boundaries when it comes to what you share on social media, what you share with acquaintances, and even what you share with your friends and loved ones. Another area of my life where I feel like I'm doing a good job of setting boundaries, and that I also notice a lot of other people are not setting these same boundaries, which maybe the truth is that for some people it is comfortable for them to not have these boundaries, and that's totally chill. But I encourage you, if you're hearing yourself in some of the things that I'm describing, to like give it some thought. But another area of my life that I feel like boundaries have been really valuable is, oh my God, is not asking for other people's opinions when I don't want them. It might sound simple or self-explanatory, but this is something I hear other people doing all the time, and I just am in my brain like, why are you doing this? Cut this shit out. I want to give some like context examples in case you're a little confused what I'm talking about. So for example, the number one example that comes to mind, you're trying on an outfit. Maybe you're going out with your friends. Hey, is this okay? Do I look good? Do I look weird in this top? Is this top unflattering on me? Why are you freaking asking? I get some people might genuinely want the opinions if they're unsure, but 90% of the time I'm like, you know whether or not you like the outfit, why are you asking me? And I'm not gonna say that, but I genuinely don't get why you would ask for someone else's approval on something like an outfit, a decor piece, etc. that is completely irrelevant to them, and it only fucking matters what you like and your personal opinion. I think that it's become so second nature in our society and just for people in general to instantaneously, when they're making any sort of decision, big or small, feel like they need to go to everyone around them for input, and to kind of like feel like they need the stamp of approval from everyone around them in order to feel confident in a decision, and feel like they need to go for something that's universally liked, universally seen as good. They need that thumbs up from literally everybody, their mom, their dog, their friends, their acquaintances. And you just don't need to be like that. I'm obviously not perfect in this regard. I love validation as much as the person next to me. And there have been a lot of times in the past where I've been a lot more validation dependent. Like I've been that girl before for sure, but I just remember how discouraged and how uncertain I would feel if whoever I was asking disagreed with me, and it would make me waver in my own decision. And I just don't feel the need to do that now. And it's not because I don't want feedback. It's not because I don't care about anyone else's opinion. It's just like I realize now that personal decisions are personal decisions. If it's not going to affect anyone else, then I don't need anyone else's input if I don't want it, if I'm not genuinely interested in what their thoughts are. So every time I want to post on Instagram or when I record a cover of a song, I don't need to go send it out for reviews from my friends. Like I can just post it, or I can just do it and decide for myself whether I think it's good or whether I like it. I think that's a freeing boundary to set that I really recommend you think about in your own life. Like, are you genuinely asking for opinions you don't want? And if you are, like, cut that shit out. Especially on things in your personal life. We already have to care about other people's opinions for a lot of things, like work. You know, if you have a boss, you have to care about their opinion of what you work on. If you have a significant other, you kind of have to care about their opinion in terms of compromising on things, whatever. Let the things that are truly just for you be just for you without having to ask the freaking gallery. You know, the peanuts gallery. Like, is that the term? The peanut gallery. Yeah, you don't need to ask the freaking peanut gallery. I think another important way to gauge this is you shouldn't be asking someone who you don't want to be more like for advice. So for example, say you are putting together kind of a funky, fun, trendy, Pinterest-inspired outfit, okay? You're wearing something a little weird, a little different, but it's what you like, it's what's trending now, and you're feeling good about it. Are you gonna go ask the frat bro next door if your outfit looks good? You shouldn't, because you don't want to dress like the frat bro next door. The frat bro next door is not going to get what you're going for with this whole ensemble, and so they are not the right audience for you to be asking. And also, you shouldn't take it to heart if their opinion of your outfit is less than favorable, or if they make some remark, because again, you don't want to dress like frat bro next door. That's not your goal. However, if Emma Chamberlain came on over to your apartment, if she waddled on into your room, saw your outfit, and maybe made a suggestion, maybe you would want to listen to Emma Chamberlain, because maybe she actually is someone whose style you like. She fits the aesthetic that you're going for. She knows what she's talking about in terms of it. So maybe that is an opinion that you would care about. You see kind of what I'm saying? Like, you should be strategic in who you're taking opinions and asking for advice from, and it should be people that you want to be more like and people who you feel like excel in the area you're working on, versus some random ass person who you don't even want to be like anyway and who you don't feel like is succeeding in that area. So I think it's a really valuable boundary to set for yourself, to let yourself make completely personal, completely independent decisions, to not ask for feedback you don't want or you don't need, and to just like be more comfortable trusting yourself, especially on personal things, taste related things, or decisions that you know the right answer in your gut. Like, you don't need to be outsourcing and asking the freaking peanut gallery about every decision you make. And I know that a lot of people be doing that. So if you hear yourself in that, check yourself before you wreck yourself. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for this video. Oh my god, the freaking flies. We've had like a bug infestation. I don't want to say a bug infestation, but we've been having issues with these gnats. If you have any suggestions or requests for potential topics for future Girl Talk episodes, make sure to leave them in the comments. If you resonate with anything I talk about, if you have any input about boundaries or how you've been setting boundaries in your own life, or maybe not setting boundaries in your own life, also leave that in the comments, because I'd be super interested to hear all of that. I love you guys so freaking much, and I'm feeling really, really good about the content that I've been making recently. It feels really good. One of my big goals for November was to work a little harder with my YouTube channel, and I have been doing that. It might not completely show because I haven't uploaded that much, but I have been putting a lot of effort into my videos, so I hope you guys are liking the content. I hope you have an amazing week, and I will see you in the next one. All right, bye.
Yeah, his baby said that they don't got a future like it burns. So give him something worse to kill his head with, make him forget somehow. Might be that another day she would have wished he stayed, but they're